All right, we are live. Testing. Good afternoon, traders. B. James here, Day Trading Dad. Lunch session. Let's do it. So, real quick before we dive into it, these are my trades from this morning. I signed off somewhere in this consolidation, and I just felt from my AM stream, just wasn't into it. And then I saw this 2-minute inversion. I took it, got stopped out, and then here I saw the inversion again. And I felt it was worth a re-entry. Everything looked so much cleaner on this one. I re-entered. I actually got stopped out somewhere right in there. My stop loss was up in here, but I totally screwed myself. I forgot that I had set a daily loss limit on these accounts for last week, for NFP week, to make sure I did 1 shot, 1 kill per day. And that meant that it would cut me off after 1 loss. And I forgot that. Totally forgot to remove the daily loss limit or adjust it back up to normal. And that really bugged me. I got stopped out of, I mean, it probably wasn't by, very much at all. Like, I think somewhere up in here, it kind of stopped me and then it returned around and then just fell to targets. So that totally bummed me out. That's been my week. Like, this week has been the week of my mistakes causing problems. Monday should have been a green day, but my stop loss was incorrectly placed. I just didn't see it, didn't catch it. And then today, my own daily loss limits took me out. So that's where I'm at for the day. Let's jump into the charts. I'm a little late than what I would typically want to start the lunch session because typically 12:50 is the time for the lunch trade. So we just gotta, maybe we'll miss it, maybe we won't. Let's dive into some of this higher time frame stuff. So the 4-hour looks like we rejected off that 4-hour gap from this morning. That's kind of what I was thinking. The 1 hour here, inverted that inversion. We're coming down for these lows. And so really, I'm more bearish on the rest of the day. I want to see delivery towards sell side. This is a messy chart. Let's clean it up some. Even then, let's take off some of this SMT. This is a wild candle. Wow. So yeah, I was in an appointment during all of this consolidation. So with 15 minutes kind of consolidating, we've manipulated above the midnight open, filled the regular trading hour gap, the new day opening gap, took Asia, and then coming back for New York AM low. Now the lunch trade, typically what we want to see is we want to see an accumulation. We want to see equal highs. And we want to see whoever's in profit in the morning get rated before it continues their way. And we do have this 15-minute gap. We have a tailless candle. We have some equal lows swept. We don't have any SMT low between the 2 consecutive candles. SMT with this candle. So we have about a 59% chance that the lunch trade model is going to appear today. And of that, I think it's about a, where is it? It's written down somewhere. So we have an 80% chance that lunch is going to continue the AM trade direction, the AM direction. We have a 59% chance of the lunch trade between 1250 or 120. So we have this consolidation. I'm going to go back to the 1 minute. We have this consolidation. These equal highs were taken out with this 15-minute candle. We do have these equal lows right in here. Why is it not drawing anything? And a little bit of trend line liquidity right here. Now we do have an inversion right here. I got to log in real quick. I'm not bullish though. So here on the lower time frames, the liquidity is pointing up. The sellers are in profit, so it would make sense for the lunch trade to want to come up, take out some of this liquidity, and then likely continue on back down. Now the question is, do you want to trade against the overall order flow? It looks like it might. We just don't have any SMT down in here that I can see quickly. Yeah, so I really want to see it raid some of this liquidity. We've just gotten this consolidation pattern. So I really don't want to take trades inside of that for the most part. If it was trending, it would be one thing. You know, where you get this trend. If the market's kind of trending like this, and then you get some equal lows built up, and then lunch kind of does this, raids those equal lows, and then continues. So that's the bullish example. And so bearishly, I just wish this one candle here hadn't have swept those relative equal highs. Let's do this even. So here, if this was a bullish market, we do have some relative equal highs up in here. And what I would want to see, similar to that diagram that I just drew, I want to see a rate of some of this before continuing to the downside. I don't know if we'll get it. Like this is this right here could have been pretty close to it. Let's invert it again. It just might run for it now. So here we have a pretty strong V shape. We have an accumulation of V shape. It took out some of this liquidity below here. So this is kind of looking like, but it left these relative equal lows. So these lows were swept. I wonder if there's SMT right here. I got to re-invert it to make it match what's... right up here. Let's look for SMT. So here's a little bit of SMT with this high and this high between YM and NQ. Well, let's see what it does. I'm not in a hurry. And I guess while we're waiting for NQ to do something, you can see up here on the screen, I wrote, your future security does not rely on the next trade. And that was something I was thinking about yesterday and last night, and I wrote it on my charts for today. It's what I was journaling this morning before my session and marinating on before I started the session. And this stemmed from like looking back at my trades and wondering like, why do my losses sting? Because I know that one loss on my account isn't going to do anything. And it doesn't change my day. It doesn't change my situation. And ultimately, with accounts that are healthy, it doesn't change. Like, I'm not 2 trades away from blowing an account or anything like that. They're in the green. So why is it that I still am bugged when I lose a trade? And that's when I dove deep into this last night and discovered that there's so much more meaning behind an individual trade on the subconscious level for me, like a primal level, a level that I'm not conscious of and thinking about. And it equated to future security for my family. And there's a lot going on in the mind that wants to ensure that my family is going to be good in the future. And it's this chain of events of, if I lost this trade, then that's going to delay a payout, then that's going to delay freedom, then that financial support, then that's going to delay freedom, then that's going to delay X, Y, and Z goals, or X, Y, and Z needs for your family or you. And I saw that chain of connections between that. You don't think these things, you're not sitting there taking a loss thinking that chain of thoughts, but you just feel something in your mind in a flash of a second, just knows something. And it's a primal part of our brain, I think, that's being triggered. And so one of the things I'm trying to work on reframing, because I know for me, reframing things can really help out. Like one example of reframe that really helped me out is on my funded accounts. For some reason, I was getting bugged out when they were at break even, and when I was within 2 or 3 R of break even on the accounts, I just felt it was a psychological trippy zone where I would screw up a lot. And so what I ended up doing is, like, I realized, well, if it's a funded account, I have no dollars in this account. Break even means nothing. The only number that matters is when the account's blown minus $2,500, let's say. And so I started tracking that. I said, I'm $2,200, or well, if $2,500's the drawdown amount, let's say, I'd be like, I'm up $2,900 on this account. I'm up $2,700. I'm up $3,200 on this account. And I just kind of removed the break even amount on the accounts. And it worked for my mind because it gave me a dollar amount to fixate on, but wasn't a dollar amount that was psychologically messing with me. And the idea there is, like, if you just started trading a random account and had no idea how much money was in it, how would you behave? If you didn't know that it had $1 million in it, you'd behave differently than if you knew it was one trade away from being blown. And so I know there's a lot of, like, you might want to, like, track your days following your rules, or trades that were executed perfectly, or like other things like that can help. I've showed you my trading scorecard journal that I track my performance on a day, not my P&L. But ultimately, like, the brain just knows. Like, even though I haven't looked at my P&L, I know how many trades I've taken since my account was at a certain point, and I know where it's at roughly. And so giving my mind to reframe and refocus on a different number was super helpful. So that's a long-winded way to kind of share an example of the reframing that I'm constantly doing here in my trading, trying to remove the psychological barriers that are present for me. And this one is currently, your future security does not rely on the next trade. Just realizing how my mind was placing so much weight on every single trade. So where are we at with this? Price is still consolidating here. Not really giving us much to go off of. We flipped the weekly open. We're flipped 930 open. Here's the new week opening gap. So, I do want to see lower prices, like I was saying earlier. I just feel like I want to see some kind of manipulation in the next 10 or 15 minutes. I want to see price come up here, raid something, and V-shape out of there for these relative equal lows. And I can turn on my little macro box. So here's the time frame I want to see it happen in. And like I said, this possibly could have been it. And it didn't dive deep in and take all the liquidity, but because there was SMT down in here. And that would have looked pretty good at the time. I mean, I probably didn't even show up to the charts until right about here. With these equal lows down below, really didn't give a good entry on any time frame. Maybe a 30-second. No, not on 3-minute. 30-second gave this a nice looking inversion, so it probably would have been that, but you would have been going against this trend line liquidity right there. I wouldn't have liked that. I got no music going on down here. Go back on I got summer jazz piano, cool cafe vibes. Sitting here in a forest coffee shop. So I'm not stoked on the 15-minute chart. My initial prediction for today was, I was wondering if it would be a New York low of the day. Looked like New York potentially put in a low of the day, and it was going to order pair with London high. 60-something% chance that if London low is swept in New York, London high is going to be swept. We did do that. We swept Asia high, reversed, and then now we're coming back down in here. So my question is New York low of the day, New York AM low going to be the target? Or is this just going to be a compression candle for the day? So on the monthly, we're still fighting with equilibrium of the previous month. We've come down below it, I guess. We swept previous week low. We've swept down into this previous week's fair value gap. Technically, there's bullish SMT forming, but it's not confirmed for another 2.5 days. On the daily chart, we did have bullish SMT out of this fair value gap. We're trading below the 50% of the previous day's candle. All right, so the 4 hours just kind of back and forth with these two candles here. Tapped up into this 4-hour fair value gap, formed an SMT. And here's this massive breaker right here. I don't even know. Like, that's kind of an order block. That's more the breaker, but its target's so low, it's just not even useful. Looks like it wants to maybe run right now. We'll see. So we have no gaps above on the 1 hour. And even then on the 15-minute here, here's a fair value gap way far away. It's not going to probably come back up to there. We have this inversion right here. We have this inversion. We have this inversion. Yeah, you're on the same screen as me. Swept this 15-minute high. No bearish SMT though. Oh, that 5-minute don't look pretty. Don't like that at all. So yeah, we're just chilling, just waiting for something to happen. Let's go back here on the 1 minute. And I guess I'm going to pull up my statistics for lunch session. So I didn't make any notes for yesterday's lunch session. So there was a lunch rate at 1 o'clock yesterday. It was a long, and it was a flat out reversal of that 5% day. But I don't even know if you could. I wasn't around. I had to do something yesterday during this. But after yesterday's dump, I don't know if the prop firms, if all the prop firms, I know Tradeify, I think it was, had a no trading rule. Apex has a rule too. I got to look into that. It's just prayer we get a 5% day. So yeah, we had a 1:30, 1 o'clock. So I'm just looking at the 1 o'clock lunch trade Tuesday, 1:25 on Monday, and then the previous week we had none on Friday, 11:50, 12:45 long, 12:50 long, 12:20 long. So I'm imagining that this is going to probably be delayed today, maybe on the side of 120. Which we'll wait and see for a little bit. I'm going to turn this off. I like how it's building this liquidity down in here, but is it going to leave it alone? I don't know. We shall see. Like I'm missing something. All right. Wonder if it's coming for this relative equal. Lows down there. Okay. This sell side has been, ooh, perfect equal lows. Not swept yet, but this candle still has a long time to close. We just wait patiently. Still left these equal lows down here. So this is kind of technically when I would call it for my lunch session, my lunch raid trade. It's I can be a little bit flexible with it and give it a few more minutes if I think it's gonna do what I think it's gonna do. I just kind of want to take a minute looking around, seeing if it doesn't look like, because it was trading up to take these highs to trade back down, then it would feel like more of a chance that the lunch trade's going to happen today. Right now, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. I'm wondering if it's going to take these lows and then maybe come back for some of these highs. Before continuing for more sell side. And so that might come a little later. All right. Okay, it swept those equal lows right there. I do have my equal low indicator on, so it must not have been perfect. Looks like we're a minute and a half into a new 15-minute candle. I feel like it's just going to sink when it takes this low. So I'll give it a few more minutes. This morning, what happened is that I signed off my stream, and like a few minutes later, it presented a short that I was interested in. And so I don't want to sign off too early right now. But it sure isn't moving much, man. I think I started on the charts right about here. That's still a 158 point range. I'm not going to lie. At the moment, nothing here's light bulb. 119. So that's 10 minutes past my typical cutoff time. I can allow myself, you know, up to 10 to 20 more extra minutes. But I don't know if it's going to do it. Which is a bummer. I think that's 2 days in a row now. I've streamed the lunch trade session, and 2 days in a row, or no, not 2 days in a row. I think this is the second day I've streamed the lunch session. Monday was the first, and I don't remember what happened on Monday. It came after. It came at 1:25 on Monday. That's what happened. I think I logged off. Where's the candlesticks? Come on. It makes no sense. Load. Is my internet all whacked out? It's just stuck loading. There we go. Yeah, it's being really slow. Lame. Rural internet sucks. Oh, I think this is what I was considering it possibly could have been, is see, the day was bullish. Here's some relative equal lows. Price falls through those lows. I don't like it when it does this, though. I probably wouldn't have taken it had I been on the charts. And forms this inversion right in here. Maybe there was an SMT, maybe, and then you target opposing liquidity. So the buyers were in profits. They're getting stopped out, final stop out around 1, and then rallying for continuation. Now, in the case of this day, the lunch trade ultimately failed. I would have got my 2.5 hour out of that for sure. But you can see then, as opposed to the lunch trade continuing the AM trend, it actually, price would reversed and it continued the reversal trend. So there really wasn't anything there. And then look at 330 was a beautiful setup. Potentially, maybe there's SMT and a gap down there, but the setup itself looks pretty textbook, and it would have given a partial. And now it's building liquidity like it wants to sweep this low and then come back, which is not what I would have expected. I would have expected once it takes out this low down here to just plummet to the gap below. But we'll give it a few more minutes, see what it does. Just waiting and seeing. I mean, there's not much to do here. It's just consolidating. leaving some bait down in here. All right, so what time is it? 1:25 roughly. We have this liquidity right down in here. Let's see what it does. I want to see, it just needs to move somewhere. How volatile it was today. Still moved over 2.5% today. So what I'm bummed about, we don't have any 15-minute or fair value gap. Ideally is what I would have liked to have seen. Like there's this little 15-minute inversion, this whole thing right here. That's way far away. Why is my internet being slow? That's not helpful. I don't want it to take that long if I'm switching time frames. You know, we have this 5-minute gap right in here. You know, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but it's not significant enough for me to do anything with it. Might go down, but for me, I really wanted to see a stop hunt of some of this up in here. Yeah, I don't know if I'm interested in much of this. I don't think it's going to do anything I want it to do. So I gave it a little extra time. I gave it like 15, 17 extra minutes, and just consolidated since then. So I'm gonna, and that's the way it is. I think like with the lunch trade sessions, it's like 2 or 3 times a week. And so that's out of 5 days that something a setup appears. So it's not the same as trading like the opening session, because most opening sessions, I feel like there's a setup. It might not be with your bias, and so maybe you don't take it, but I feel like I can look back at 9:30 and see setups pretty much every day. And that's not the case with the lunch session. So keep it short with the lunch session. I don't sit here at the charts for too long. I just know there's a particular time window, about 12:30 to 1:30, where I can typically find a raid on liquidity and then an expansion, and I'm not seeing it today. So that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I'll sign off, and if I sign off